I hear there's a bear in these woods. Gotta be real careful when dealing with bears. I would know, wrangling the academy wilds and all. Let's go see what else we can find. I hear there's a wise man to go see.
Master Joshi, thank God we found you.
本日さん、マゼルさん、ボージェへようこそ。ようぞよろしくお願いします。
I didn't understand that, but we're trying to survive Super Week. Do you have any advice?
ああ、だから、黄色がいます。
I don't speak Does anyone speak Japanese?
ああ、めんどくさい。Big dogs.
Oh, thank you, Master Joshi, so much.
In the red, in the galley. Mad magical.
Mad magical? Okay, alright, we'll go check him out. Anybody around?
Hello! Welcome to my lab. Now, what do you want?
Yeah, we just need some help surviving Super Week.
I'm not really the helping type. More the destructive and chaotic.
I mean, it'd really help us out.
Fine, fine. But you owe me. Equivalent exchange and all of that. I'd offer you support syndrome, but y'all scoffed at me the last time. So how about you consider level 1 genetic aneurysm? An early quadr penta on your ADC should do just the trick. Now get out of my lab that I'm definitely in.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll be on our way, man. Jeez. All right. So what's the plan here, guys? Like, are we fighting? Are we just, like, hiding?
I have absolutely no idea. We gotta wrangle these suckers. I need to get home to Betsy.
Actually, guys, I've been running the numbers. I think we have a pretty good shot of surviving this one. I'm not going to lie. It's not that big of a deal, but... Oh, my God. It's back. And it's bigger. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to day 2 of our Super Week of Academy. We're surviving.
We're surviving,
We're surviving. And we're happy that you're here with us. Of course, we got 2 streams going on. This is twitch.tv/academy. That's what I'm hosting today. But Mazel, you're hosting twitch.tv/faceitTV.
I am very excited to be here. A little sad that we're 2 days out from finishing the season, but it is a fun one, especially that, you know, we get to come in here 2 days before the end of it and kind of take a little bit of a look back here and take a look at what we've seen so far and the differences in the team setting up. Because when we get to this point, right, we have had a double round robin for all of these teams, and to get to see the differences in the first half to the second half is so interesting. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the first half of the round robins and see at least where teams were placing halfway through the split. You see the clump/blob is all in full effect there, but the top of the standings.
Hashtag Team Clump. I'm just going to say it again, just because I know Magical's listening and it's going to tilt him. So hashtag Team Clump. But yeah, this was the first half of the season, right? So CLG, they were at the top, but things get a little different, Mazel, if we just take a look at the second half of the round robin.
They absolutely do, and that's the difference, and that's the development that we love to see in Academy. TL taking their rightful place at the top again, but the clump/blob, hashtag Team Clump, is still strong. At least that's common, right? Like that's the synergy.
Yeah. There's 4 teams that would be tied there in that 4th place spot. It looks like on the left there, just that 4 is a 5. Dignitas, CLG, FlyQuest, TSM all have the same record in the second round robin. And CLG in particular, pretty rough. They were at the top. They were the #1 team coming into the season with a really strong start, and they have been slumping a little bit. But Team Liquid and Cloud9, those are the 2 big teams that started off the season lower in the standings and have been skyrocketing up. And now we're competing still potentially for that top spot. It would be tough for Team Liquid with Cloud9. There's still a road for them to get that #1 depending on how Golden Guardians and CLG shake out. But either way, we can just see kind of the power level of teams in the second half of the split compared to the first.
Where they would be
That's a whole split development.
It is. It's so crucial. And why it's so crucial is you see the difference in color schemes in that graphic, right? Top 6 get auto-qualified into the main piece of Proving Grounds. The other 4 have to battle it out in a single best-of-3 elimination game, so you definitely don't want that.
Life on the line.
Exactly.
can be a little rough. But of course, standings aside, there's also a lot of other plays that happen throughout the split. So as in the final week, we start to look backwards, see the development of players. We can also take a look at some of the hype plays that had happened earlier on in the season. So we put together a fun little montage to highlight the top 5 plays of Academy in Spring Split so far.
Darshan. I love that.
He's having some fun as.
Wait. Watch. Oh. 1. 2.
For Chime, just some bonus gold for Malice connecting with those Skittles. Oh, wait, this could be nice.
Looking really bad. This is that combo. They got the flash out of his king already. We even with the stun from the drum copy. It is 6A getting so much. One more heal, barely get King alive. But look at Isles, the flash from Icon. It is a whole fiesta, but First Blood is picked up by Golden Guardians. They've got more to look for though. Copy and Darshan are pretty low, but Ryoma is also really low himself. They've got 1 kill, they've got 2 kills. Man, it is just a fiesta about. I almost said something I shouldn't say on broadcast.
Oh my goodness.
You got a triple kill early for 6A. Chime is here to help out, but they can get a quadra kill immediately out of the gates for Coach of the Year. Malice, make sure it's not an early penta.
Escape. So we did that. And it's like, oh. Darkwings?
So, is that the goal of this game for Dignitas, just to make sure that Cloud9 doesn't have any Deathless members? I mean, Copy might be donating from time and time again as these late game stages come to fruition. Dokolo still on this right side flank. Rosethorn with the massive Warthog kick flash play finds Yawn, but it's now up to CLG to clean up the rest of the fight. And Darkwings still doing his best to keep this base alive, but Triple now teleports right into his face. He has the super minions on his side. Darkwings, can he put out enough damage, forcing Triple to flash away? Darkwings against the world. He flashes forward, looks for Dokla, finds the solo kill, but can he defend against 3 members? It's going to be a pretty tall task to ask for Darkwings. He finds Triple. Can he put out the damage? No way.
Darkwings does this.
And all the odds against him. He saves the base and will defend the game from ending.
Whew, what a way to close out that with Darkwings with the insane defense. I also love how the first one was just Malice pressing R.
It's all the
like
skill needed, man. That's all the skill.
Boop.
Hey, it takes skill to get to that point. But hey, I love that we got to highlight some of the plays that maybe didn't make it into every single highlight reel, but some that really stood out to us, at least as the season went on. And it's always nice. But next, we got something serious. All right, we got to break it down here because there's something serious happening today. And I don't know if everybody else knows, but there's a smackdown happening. It's Team Liquid Academy versus Cloud9 Academy. We had our resident hype man take care of us, so let's go ahead and see what he's got cooked up.
Tonight on Academy Smackdown. Ever since they burst onto the Academy scene with their full 5-man roster, Cloud9, apart from their very first match against Golden Guardians, have been taking down every single team in Academy. And they have proven themselves to be one of the best teams going into Proving Grounds overall. And one of the foes that they took down was Team Liquid during week 4 of our spring split. They swept them 2-0. Team Liquid didn't get a chance to field their full roster, and now they have Ayla and Harry full time, and all the 5 members here together. And they have been on a tear. 8-0 is their current record, undefeated for the past 2 weeks. Team Liquid are looking to close out the Super Week with a strong statement. And that can all come down to Cloud9, one of their last and most tough opponents. They are not looking just for revenge for week 4. They are looking to cement themselves as one of the top teams in Academy. This is more than just a battle for pride. It is a battle for the throne. We will see who will emerge victorious between Team Liquid and Cloud9 on tonight's Academy Smackdown.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. A little bit hype. Just a little bit hype.
The matchup. Team Liquid, Cloud9. Again, the two teams that they're not at the top of the standings. Golden Guardians and CLG are still ahead of them. But based on current form, I would say that these are the two best teams that we have in Academy right now. So that is why this one is so exciting. And speaking of, we also have CLG versus Golden Guardians happening as well today. So we got two heavyweight SmackDown titles on the line.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I can't wait. That especially because Cloud9 coming off the rough series against Immortals Academy, definitely want to retool some of their approaches for sure. But let's talk a little bit about yesterday as well, since that happened. We'll get a little breakdown. We didn't get the tie day that maybe Tyrant Kangas wanted.
Team Liquid coming
out
2 days in a row, Mazel. This is twice now that they've denied us a tie day, and they're the only team that 2-0s. Everyone else ties. They are all on the same page, and Team Liquid says, no, we're going to win.
The entire broadcast besides Tyrant Kangas thanks you for your services.
Despicable.
Thank you.
Despicable.
But it was a tightly contested.
Of course. It was tightly contested, and Team Liquid is still that team that is on the rise, taking games, taking matches off of every single opponent that they've been up against lately. So they're the team to beat as of right now, but let's take a look ahead and see that schedule. This is what we'll see on twitch.tv/academy. Again, the stream, if you have this one already pulled up, make sure you're supporting both. Immortals versus Dignitas to start the day. This has big seeding implications for Proving Grounds, and also Dignitas are still technically not in top 6, so they would have to play in the Proving Grounds play-ins, that single Elim best of 3. Team Liquid, Cloud9 to see who is the top dog in Academy right now, and then 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. Technically, it's still possible for FlyQuest to make a miracle run. Unlikely,
Twitch.tv/FaceItTV, though, we'll have 2 other series going down. We have the top of the table contender match, CLG Academy taking on Golden Guardians Academy, and then we have a bit of differing stories. The tale of 2 takes, I guess. TSM Academy taking on Evil Geniuses Academy.
And with that said, that's of course all the Academy action that we'll have ahead of us today. I'm excited for, again, 2 of the big matches. You better, if you don't usually pull up both streams, you have a big reason to today, because you do not want to miss Golden Guardian CLG. You do not want to miss Team Liquid Cloud9. These are 2 of the most important matches that we have here because of seeding implications, and also just to see the current strength of Academy teams going in. You know, all the amateur teams will also be watching these matches, especially because these are the teams to beat going forward. But if you were confused and not aware that this was the match, it's probably because you weren't following a certain Twitter page. Path to LCS.
That, like,
you have to follow it. Fix that problem right now, guys. Right now.
You better go. I better see the follower count jump up by like a couple thousand at this point. You guys aren't following. I see you. I know you're there.
I posted a meme yesterday, and Austin, our socials guy, actually said Kangas banger. Now he started with rare, so it's a rare Kangas banger, but still,
we also
I'll take
have
it.
a cinematic
take it
masterpiece to rival Marvel happening, like as the days unfold. So I don't know, like,
true,
you're obviously missing out. It's a big budget movie over there. But Kangas, we should go ahead and get to the gameplay, shall we? As we probably have a date to kick off. I don't know about you. I mean, we have a date with Destiny. So let's go ahead.
We have a date with Destiny.
Switch off the one stream into 2. Make sure you're following both. Make sure you're watching both, and we'll see you on the Rift, guys.
Place. The Vipers having one hell of a season right now, and the few wins that TSM Academy have managed to put together, he is the catalyst in the team, and in a lot of their losses, he's the one that's keeping them in the game up until the point where they lose. Now Cubby may call it rage splitting, where he decides to just take the game into his own hands and look for 1v2 situations, but the fact that he's able to pull a lot of these off is credit to how strong Viper is performing.
For a team that has been so focused on the stars of Stixxay and Royoma throughout the regular season, Golden Guardians leaves Chime in a spot where he's severely underserved. His ability to roam around the map, control fights, and get a lot of the team fight starters by serving as a primary engage leaves Chime in a spot where he is much better than I think the amount of attention he's gotten has deserved.
I'm going to tell you one thing only. You know who had the highest KDA in Academy for 80 carries? It was Stixxay. But now that Stixxay's gone, you know who has the highest KDA? Spawn from Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy. And this guy has been doing not only just his job, he's been going above and beyond his job. He's stepping up, he's gale forcing and flashing forward on Aphelios, on Jinx, looking for kill opportunities and silencing anyone that called him a weak side player in years prior. Spawn may have been playing Ashe and Ezreal a lot of times in teams like Polar Ace before, but now on this new Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy squad, he is one of the primary carries, and he is leading the charge. This is the dawn of Spawn.
When I think of players that haven't gotten enough hype, Spyrex from FlyQuest is the first one that stands out in my mind. This player has been on a tear. His growth has been immense throughout this academy season. And this is a young player who hopped from collegiate to academy in the offseason. He started off the season a little bit weak, a little shaky, 9th and 6th place in standings such as Gold Diff at 10 and XP Diff at 10 as well, both respectively, to now 2nd place in both those categories. This guy, we have to keep our eyes on, especially if FlyQuest want to find success in the remaining days of Academy and throughout the Proving Grounds.
Joey had a tough first round robin, but I think he's really upped his play in the second. Joey's taking better engages, getting caught out less, and whether it's with Arrow or Wild Turtle, I think he's being more consistent in lane. Joey's been a big part of Immortals solidifying their spot in the top 6, and I'm looking out for him come Proving Grounds.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we're preparing for our first series of the day. Only 2 more best of 2s for every team remaining here in Academy, and to walk me through at least the first of those 2, I got Joshi and Rafa. We're decked out in our best apparel here as we're getting ready for the end of Academy Split, and we got Immortals versus Dignitas on the horizon. Guys, first off, welcome to the show. Awesome to have you. Rafa, I like the hat, too, by the way. You got this whole, like, color combo thing going on right now. But besides our fashion decisions today, Immortals Academy, round robin number 2. Joshi, I want to intro you to start talking about this team because, again, the journey of teams in the first half of the split has not necessarily matched their second half performance, and Immortals is one of those teams that's actually looking a little bit better as of late.
Yeah, they already have as many wins in the second round robin as they did in the first, and they still have 4 more games left to go. And when you are already in the top 6, every win from here is just gravy. You're just looking to get that better seeding for the rest of it. And we can kind of see the difference, right? 8 and 10 put them at 7th, but 8 and 6 currently leaving them in 3rd, which means that Immortals feels like they've had a bit of a glow up in the second half.
Exactly. I mean, the sad fact is there's a chance that they match the record if they go 0-4 here. That's kind of the black sheep of the room right here. But regardless, they still have a good chance of getting above that last standing, and that's what they're looking to do here against Dignitas. Now, as we're looking at Immortals, though, the player that we want to talk about that has had a big glow up as well, support lane, Joey, has actually had a very impressive split so far in 2022.
Yeah, we've been really impressed with how Immortals have been building over the course of this season, and he's been one of our unsung heroes throughout the entire season. And as you kind of look at his stats between the first round robin and the second round robin, you just see that everything has gotten better. The only one that's gone down is actually the deaths per game, which is a good thing. You want that number to be small. That's a good one to go down. Yeah, so you're seeing that
like
just
golf.
about every...
You know, Cubby could relate to that stat.
What?
No, because, you know, you want a smaller number in
golf,
right?
True. That took me a moment. I thought you were making something a bit more
dig at Cubby.
rude.
That was just acknowledging
no. That'll be later. We'll get our digs at Cubby later on.
Speaking of digs,
playful banter.
Speaking of digs, Ralph, I'm happy that you brought them up because, of course, they are also on the Rift today, and I know that you're the one that loves to talk about them. So what has been Dignitas' journey throughout the first and second round robin?
You know, the color matching was not intentional, but now that I realize it, I really am confirming my bias here. So I'm going to try to kind of curb it back. But Dignitas, so far, their second round robin split overall hasn't changed much from their first round robin. They've technically lost, well, they're kind of down 3 wins and 1 loss so far, but they still have time to, you know, get it towards the middle. But I think the overall thing about Dignitas is all of us, well, technically all of you guys, put them at 10th. I put them at 9th.
True.
At the overall split. And they have been fighting to be within the clump so far. And they've been kind of in the 6th and 7th spots. So for this squad, this is still better than expectations that we had.
And also, they are currently tied for 5th place right now, as Immortals are in 4th place singularly. But let's take a look at, again, one of the players that we want to highlight from this roster, Darkwings. When we look at teams that have had glow-ups, we look at players that have had glow-ups, Darkwings is one of those players on the side of Dignitas Academy that has had a much better second half of the split than first half.
Yeah, overall, just like what Josh said, most of the numbers have gone pretty much up. For Darkwings, in the first round robin, he was really much more of a passenger for the side of Dignitas. He playing things like the Victor and just making sure that, you know what, I can put out damage, but I need the rest of the team to do things for me. I'm giving them the agency, and I'm just going to put in damage whenever I can. But there are moments in the second round robin where Darkwings has stepped up to the plate and been the hero for Dignitas when they needed him. And I know this is an iconic moment from their game against CLG.
One of the best plays we've had the entire season thus far is his ability to just defend this phase 1v4 as the Cassiopeia. We praised him for this counter pick previously in the game. And this is one of those players where we feel like we've been, doing a disservice to a couple of players because we haven't talked about them as much despite their performance. Darkwings, I don't feel, was underserved so much as he just got so much better in the second half of the round robin. In the first half, he was just kind of there, right? As Mark said, a bit of a passenger, but now he's looking so much stronger. He's looking for plays. He's not content to let XU really dictate the path around the map. He's starting to take more of the game into his own hands.
And Spawn has been stepping up as a primary carrier. You saw that the only number that went down was kill share. He's getting more counter picks, he's getting more facilitating picks, and Darkwings is oftentimes the enabler for the team now going forward and making things happen. So it's cool to see the glow up of Darkwings, and now we get to see it on the Rift as I'm hearing that we are ready for pick and ban. So Rafa, Joshi, I'm going to pass it over to the two of you to get us underway.
Thanks, Kangas. I want to continue the note about Darkwings because Darkwings overall has, as you already said, less of a passenger, taking a lot more responsibility on himself to be proactive on the map. And, one of the funny things about Dignitas is that because this is a younger squad, a lot of the attempts that they make, the execution is, it's not 100% clean, but the attempt and the initiative to go forward and making these plays helps make these rookies much better players as they develop throughout the
And that's the kind of thing you always look at. It's why we've been looking at this team as somebody that could constantly surprise us, and why even you, despite your huge fandom, was a little bit surprised when they are consistently being in the middle of the pack, right? A 9-9 first half and a 6-8 second half with opportunities to improve means that this team has a lot of inconsistency with what they've been doing. But when you're inconsistent like that, if you're consistently inconsistent, it means you're taking games off of some good teams, right? It means that you are able to surprise them and take some leads and actually win them through. And now, as they are one game behind Immortals Progressive, we get to see if they can continue to build on their previous success and actually make their way into the top 6 so they can skip the first round sudden death.
Yeah, with that win over CLG just a couple weeks ago, Dignitas has now successfully taken at least one game off of every single team in the entire Academy League. And that allows Dignitas to have the confidence to say, hey, you know what? Any team is beatable as long as we are playing our game. And that is something that is always remarkable about this squad. Whether they make decisions that are necessarily the correct decisions, everyone is usually on the same page.
And so we have to remember as we kind of look towards the end of the season, and then we'll take a moment to look back, is that Dignitas, if they don't win here, if they don't at least go 1-1, they have to play 100 Thieves, who are also currently right on the bubble in order to try and make it to the next level. And that puts them in a really scary position where you just have to kind of win every game, and you don't have a whole lot of room for error, just like the sudden death, right? You want to avoid that by winning in the first place. And so as we see this first part of the draft come through, it's very stock standard, Mark. We're going to kind of skip over it. Instead, take a look back at where this team was at the beginning of the split.
Dignitas, when we first saw them on the scene, we kind of alluded to it before. We were expecting them to place very near at the bottom of the standings. But the fact that they are competing with a team like 100 Thieves to maintain themselves within the top 6 to get through straight onto the main event for Proving Grounds, rather than having to go through the play-in stage for next week, that's pretty damn remarkable for this squad. Now, as you noted before, nothing really crazy coming out from either team so far, but it's just setting up for core backline composition carries.
Now, I also want to look back at where Immortals was at the beginning of the split because, we might have overhyped them a little bit, but they did have the first team or the last team to lose a game. They won their first 4 straight in week 1, and we were all just like, oh my gosh, is Immortals the real deal? Are they going to go all the way? And then, they've settled into the middle of the pack, into the blob. So we'll see if that's something that they can continue to try and build their way out of. Now that Wild Turtle has joined, they've been looking really strong so far, and the increased ability to kind of move Chad around the map has made Immortals much scarier, and we're kind of seeing him go back to something that he's had a little bit more recent success on with the Udyr.
XU also pulling out, I think this is his first or second Trundle game of the entire split. Trying to go back. We'll have to double check that and confirm in stats. But this is something that we don't normally see a lot anymore. Now, a lot of people have been picking things like Trundles as like soft counters to the likes of Udyr and Hecarim because most of the time they're opting into Ghost. And so if you take Ghost, you throw down the the pillar, they can't flash away from or over the pillar, right? It's an obstacle. It's a giant terrain thing that kind of prevents you from being able to close the distance between you and
let's not forget
target.
how effective it is against a lot of AD carries, right? You throw it down, you say, hey, you can't now get in, and you have a limited range. You don't have the spells that you can hit from a super long way away. So always going to be a useful champion, kind of no matter what, like your Oriannas, your Kog'Maws, not Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw's a bad example, but like your Nars and basically everything else you will always kind of see pop up from time to time just because everybody is so used to playing it. At the same time, though, with very standard stuff coming out from both sides of the map, the big thing that we are missing right now is easy go buttons, right? You have the Thresh Death Sentence to come out from Dignitas, whereas on the other side, you're mostly just looking at the Frog, and wow, that was fast coming through from They knew exactly what they wanted.
They were like, they saw the victory,
okay,
okay, cool. Orianna Tryndamere slam that shiz, baby. Now, Eclipse, what do you even take into a blind Tryndamere?
I mean, historically, the answer has been Graves, right? You just rock the Ghost on your own. But the thing is, like, Tryndamere in competitive oftentimes struggles against a lot of picks. And yes, I was going to say some tanks, but the Malphite going to be coming through for Boris up here in the top lane, looking to lock down Concept. And I gotta say, this is also a little bit unexpected from Concept. This is a guy who typically plays very unusual things like the Urgot, right? He played some Mundo earlier on the season, which is why both these champions were drawing bans, and it feels like Dignitas kind of ready for this.
Yeah, Dignitas said, you know what, Concept? You can't play your specialty picks. You gotta play something else. And Concept was like, okay, bet.
I'll play meta.
I'm gonna play one of the things that we see everyone plays. I'm going to be a conformist. I'm not going to be original because you're forcing me to.
Yeah.
It's okay. Concept is just jumping onto the Tryndamere train, but the Rock Monster locked in from Eclipse. This has been either his second or third pick now, and it's always awesome to see a player like Eclipse who, you know, he talks a big game and he's very funny to kind of interact with and have trash banner conversations with, but Eclipse is very much been very understanding of how to be a team player so far in the split.
We also saw him have some individual carry performances last week when he unfortunately dunked on my boy Philip a little bit, but you know, from what I understand, he did apologize afterwards, even after all that cyberbullying. But as we start getting ready to load into the Rift, we got to pay attention to where the go buttons are. You will notice that Eclipse on this Malphite will have major opportunities to get engages started, whereas Immortals are a little bit more focused on making sure they have vision control to actually get this setup going. And that's not something that has been one of the biggest strong points of Immortals throughout the course of the regular season. Their vision game has been solidly okay, but Dignitas have struggled with it even more. They're not necessarily going on to a lot of these fights with more information than their opponents, and it feels like something that Immortals will be able to attack with, and where Joey, who we've been praising, should be able to find these engages.
Yes, exactly, because when you look at Immortals, the later the game goes on, who's supposed to make primary engages? It's actually all down to Joey, because Chad is going to have a more difficult time actually trying to look for run, stun, job done opportunities, even with this Ghost, because you have so many ways to control the space and terrain around you. Pillar, gravity field, even Threshbox prevents Chad from just being able to walk up for free and stun someone.
I mean, you try running at this team and you'll realize you are very sad, even with all this movement speed that these guys do have between Pretty's Pulse. That's what Orianna says. What is the ability called? Dissonance? I think it's Dissonance. You're the play-by-play caster.
Command Dissonance.
That's the one, right? Gives you the extra movement speed and slows people down. You have ghosts on your team. You have lots of ways to go very fast. You'll probably have a chem tank as well. So we'll see if he can even get through like the gravity field and whatnot. But you see some small trading, and this is not the shenaniganeries that most of us are used to seeing.
Just a little bit of aggressive hugging.
Aggressive hugging.
You know, coming back from our...
Yeah.
It's all signs of respect and affection from these players. They have to assert their dominance, but in a way that doesn't say, like, I hate you. It's about, hey, I respect you. That's why I need to be better than you.
What a weird early trade, right? Like, both of them just to say, like, well, we both get our mana flow band stack, and we both are just down one potion. So we'll see whether or not that's going to be much of an issue. I feel like it's going to be a little bit better for Darklings at level 1 before it quickly shifts over to Pretty, where he's a little bit more effective at levels 2 and 3 because he has a bit more ability to range the Victor and has better auto attacks as well. So Victor doesn't really want to come in the same way that Orianna will be very happy to do so. But we'll pay more attention to that. Darklings has had his glow up, and Pretty has been one of our strongest performers the entire season. So, just a one push advantage probably won't be the make or break.
As Immortals bot lane currently have a lot more control and are pushing the wave into Dignitas' bot lane. Now watch for Joey to see how well he can pilot this Tahm Kench. Spawn and JJ are playing safe, but the other big thing to note here, Josh, is that both of these junglers and what their options are. Obviously, Chad on the Udyr, we know that they can full clear. They have a much faster clear speed than something like the Trundle. And so what Trundle has to rely on is looking for some of these XU ganks that you've called for in the past.
Yeah,
Like now.
just skipping an opportunity, just going right to the mid lane.
He should be able to get a flash from Pretty with a pillar. Oh, no
Let's
way.
go.
They actually get the kill. Well done to the Dignitas.
That's one of the things I
mid-jungle.
love seeing from players. I've talked about this before, but the patience to actually wait. JJ just finds a little bit of damage, but the patience of waiting to actually use the pillar for maximum advantage and locking down Pretty means that Darkwing can also flash in for the kill. And that's the kind of thing where a lot of junglers just come in and use the pillar right away. It shows that they're not actively thinking about the game, but XU instantly goes in, shows the critical thinking skills, and now
He
Joey.
can return.
Okay.
Okay. And a good read from Joey because Joey knows that XU could return for another gank. They also have a ward, seeing that XU is here for the return. But Joey and Chad will be able to step up. Pretty is safe. It's just making sure that Darkwings can somewhat crash this wave. XU still has some camps to farm on the top side of the map, as well as the Crab. I would love to dive this lane into Trundle, but you are playing with the Malphite, so you don't have that much to work with unless you get one more Seismic Shard poke.
The ward goes down to a concept as well. I mean, XE was just protecting the crash previously, but this is a spot where Eclipse doesn't have a lot of mana, nor is there a lot of HP for them to play with, so if they go for this is bold.
Concept pops immediately the Ghost. XU doesn't have flash from before. Could look for the pillar, but he's got the spinning slash and gets out.
We'll see what the punish is from Chad, but there is none. Chad is already reset, so it's just a bit of inefficiency in farming.
Oh, but nice. Abyssal dive. Spawn is just totally dead here. The Ignite goes down, and Immortals bot lane win the 2v2.
Oh, Chad, they see him on the ward. We're not done. Okay.
Okay,
We're not done.
Chad should be fine. He knows that Eclipse doesn't have much mana, so it's just a rock that can only, slap you, and that's not going to be too much to scare Chad off.
He still backs up, but it means that there's not a whole lot of opportunities. Joey, good flash, keeps him alive in this spot. We finally calm down Mark. This has been one of our most action-packed early games where it's just constant, light action the entire way through, and at the very end of it,
Get spicy for our first
I
series.
like it.
I
I think that teams are here to fight, right? They're not here to play to not lose. They're here to play to win, and we're already seeing these opportunities coming through for the members of Dignitas. But we have to remember, one of the things that Udyr does, and the thing that Mouse brought to the table, was the ability to just farm and just wait for your opponents to make mistakes, force them to make these plays. XU has gone for a couple of ganks at this point and with mixed success, but that's not going to be enough to overcome the huge gold deficit he's already picked up because Chad is farming.
Yeah, Chad has eclipsed him in what? I think this is, quick math, 5 camps? 4 to 5 camps, right? So at this rate, XU has been able to burn a flash and a teleport from Pretty. He burned a ghost from Concept, in exchange for, the camp's deficit that he has. And you already know this going into the Trundle matchup. Like, there's no world where you're like, oh yeah, I can outfarm Udyr, I can match up Udyr. No, you're delusional if that's the case. You are picking this pick to have much more agency than the Udyr and to create pressure around the map.
But you also got to remember, Mark, when we play together, I always say, Mark, remember, you still have to farm your camps, right, at the end of the day. You got to make sure, because you see that a moment ago before you finished the Gromp, I want to kill people too, but XU was down 2 whole levels in the jungle, and if you're just going to be that far behind, it's not going to matter how much early pressure you have, because you're just going to be this weak later on in the game. You need to make sure you're available, but Eclipse and Concept both hitting level 6 means that it should be a bit of a wash up here in the top lane, but Eclipse needs to be careful. He doesn't have a whole lot of mana as the dragon goes down.
Eclipse, gotta be careful. They are both level 6. Concept could take this all in potentially, has Undying Rage. And Eclipse probably only had mana for just one ultimate cast, and that's pretty much it. Doesn't want to burn the flash. will take this time to recall. XU is setting himself on the top side of the map. You already see the works of Chad being able to bring himself to a 2-level lead, but XU, the only way he can find himself back in somewhat of a state, even with Chad, is to find the kill experience off of these laners.
And Chad is here based on the way the pathing has gone, but we'll see if Eclipse just goes.
Oh, the Unstoppable Force knocks him up. Whoa! Concept wasn't expecting the burst damage to come out. No time to pop the Undone Rage.
That's really unlucky for Concept, right? That's the thing that you need to be able to do. He lives there if he actually uses his ability correctly, but Chad, he should be fine. He has his Ghost.
Doesn't even pop his fine. He's like, man, I'm taking enough. But this is a nuisance that you're taking away my camps, and XU still has Smite, whereas Chad does not. So XU picks up the kill with Eclipse in the top lane and denies Chad a little bit of gold.
I mean, good stuff coming out from XU, right, in his ability to actually affect the lanes. The question is going to be, is it going to be enough? Because you notice that they are still down in gold despite being up in kills.
He's still going for another one. Nice shockwave from Pretty. Deters the gank from actually happening, but it's an ultimate burned, and he's very low, but Darkwings doesn't have enough mana to answer
That's his third
back.
time coming into the mid lane, and Chad recognizes that the blue's going forward. Darkwings!
More action, baby. Darkwings. I don't think he still has flash from before, and he's holding on to it. Oh, but Super Mega Death Rocket comes in. Darkwings is super incredibly low, but Pretty cannot close the distance. Chad even popping the Ghost. Cannot find the last
Good attempt coming out from Wild Turtle, but just enough HP coming out from the Victor to make sure that they are going to survive. But notice, Mark, as we start looking at this a bit more, while XU has been really aggressive on the map, and the fact that he's come 3 times into the mid lane, the rest of the map is still behind in farm. It's not just the jungle, right? He's down 30 CS at only 8 minutes. That's a lot, but also Eclipse a little bit behind. He will equalize, but the fact that Darkwings, with all the pressure coming from XU, is still behind Pretty in CS is a bit of a shock, right? We need to see Dignitas shore up their lanes, because we were saying Spawn has been one of the primary carries, but he's behind. They lost the 2v2 earlier, and Dignitas, they can't afford to fall behind. They can't afford to lose these games this late in the season.
And so a lot of these early advantages that they found just off of straight kills and summoner spells, they haven't really translated into complete map advantages yet. The first dragon still was secured by Immortals. There's a Rift Herald left to be up, but right now with the pressure going over to Concept and Pretty, despite the efforts that XU has made towards both of those solo lanes, it still puts Dignitas on the back foot. You have to see if they can combo some of their powerful ultimate abilities like this Unstoppable Force and the Chaos Storm together.
We'll see what they can do. Chad is very fast, but JJ does have flash, so should be all right, unless Joey is able to get in range. Not going to be able to do just that, trying to get the prediction. Oh no. Spawn.
Okay. Good dodge on the Tongue Lash. Going to prevent him from having to use any summoner spells. XU is also looking to run down Chad. Remember, no flash, no ghost either. He's a bit of a pickle right now, and no Devour nearby from Joey to save him. And Chad just caught a little overextended.
There you go. Good collapse coming out from Dignitas, shoring up again a little bit of the deficits they're running in from the CS thus far, and giving over a red buff and a kill to Spawn. Really helpful when you start seeing that he is down 3-4 waves at this point. And Darkwing's also going to be picking up a plate, so good trade back on the side from Dignitas. They are just playing this game very calm. They know they have huge wake-ups when they start grouping up for team fights.
And they're going to go for the 2v2. They know that they should always have the jungle advantage since Chad is just coming off of base. It was just an ultimate burn. Nothing really gained from the side of Immortals bot lane unless XU comes in, has the pillar available. JJ looking forward, waiting for Joey to use the Abyssal Dive, flashing away from the rocket of Wild Turtle. Joey flashing away. Spawn taking a lot of damage from Wild Turtle. The rocket is there, and the Devour comes in clutch, and now he has the shield. Wild Turtle is going off, baby. He's looking for more resets. One more to JJ, flashing forward. Another rocket. Death Sentence goes wide. The play, it's not enough. It's a triple for Wild Turtle. Darkwing should be able to clean it up, finds a double, and now Chad just comes in a little too late.
All right, Darkwing shutting down Jason Tran. Wild Turtle stepping up. They've been looking so good as a duo so far this game. They turn around, get 3 kills, and Darkwing's coming down. Only thing that's helping them out, but we'll see at the same time as we look at this replay, it just feels so uncoordinated, unfortunately. The hook landing onto the wrong person. Spawn trying to finish the kill onto Joey is just taking completely uncontested damage. Nobody's hitting the Jinx, and that means Jinx gets to hit you right on back. And we all know what happens when you start resetting. There's not a lot you can do about this character, and dodging the final hook just means there is nothing. Wild Turtle even cleanses to make sure that even if the hook lands, there's no way for Dignitas to win that.
And you have to praise not only Wild Turtle, but also Joey and how they played that. Essentially a 2v3 against Dignitas right there. Joey being so patient on certain cooldowns, waiting to use Devour until the very last moment when Wild Turtle exactly needed it. You can tell that the communication has been great for this bot lane, even though Wild Turtle is a newcomer to the squad.
Oh, Joey.
We're going to keep going. Darkwing still has Flash. Might be burned. Might be forced to use it. No, he's fine.
Less okay.
Oh, Super Mega Death Rocket is there. And Chad pops the ghost. Darkwing says nowhere to run. No time to use Flash at this point. It's a shutdown for Chad.
I mean, good stuff. We are seeing trades back over and over again. We saw this yesterday, Mark. Unfortunately, you weren't there. But Mazel and I spent a whole lot of time talking about the trades that Immortals were making the entire game. And now with most of this turret gone, Immortals will be able to defend the last of it. But they should be able to get out scot-free with all the money they just picked up, but it's getting traded for turrets in the bottom.
XU might be in a bad spot here. This will dive, forcing the flash out of XU, but here comes Concept with the roam. XU has nowhere else to go. Shockwave pulls him right back into the death zone, and Concept picks it up.
Going to be stealing away more of the jungle as well, so we're seeing lots of play going around the map, and everybody just thinking that they have a couple extra members and they're willing to take it. Both teams, again, coming to fight, and it should mean that Immortals are going to be getting the Dragon on the backside. And, Mark, this has been a very chaotic game. This has been something that we were expecting to see from Dignitas at the beginning of the season, right? This is how they were playing to start Academy Spring, but not towards the end. They had become a lot slower. They were starting to play a lot more controlled in a lot of their games, and this is kind of a return to their initial form that gave them this consistency.
And something that comes down to is based on which jungler XU picks, right? Anytime that he has been stemming towards the Udyr or the Hecarim, the game for Dignitas is naturally slower. And it usually you go to someone like Darkwings or JJ to look for proactive plays, to have the agency to snowball things early for Dignitas. But this time around, he goes back to a Trundle pick, which, you know, still haven't gotten a chance to confirm whether this is first or second pick so far in the split. But it's been like the things of Jarvan and Xin Zhao and Lee Sin, where you want to look for proactive plays, because then you're on a bit of a timer right here, right? You want to affect and warp the map in your favor, because then going up against something like Udyr is naturally going to outpace you and outscale you in terms of resources and overall
this is
stats.
one of the things that happens specifically with XU more than any other jungler. He is down 40, 50 CS at this point up against Chad. That is a lot of money. It is currently only one level lead because of the way that catch-up EXP works, but the gold difference has to be massive between these two junglers, and it means that Chad is going to be way more relevant individually during these upcoming fights. But I got good news for you, Mark. Trundle steals your tankiness, right? Chad is not going to be nearly as effective.
That is the one caveat, and because Concept went for an aggressive pick and not another tank, Immortals have to only rely on either Chad or Joey to be the main front line, and if you're XU, the person that's going to have the most tanky stats is going to be this Udyr, who is very, very well farmed, right? So, for the most part, Immortals, they are still in a great spot. They are 4,000 gold ahead as well.
So it is a very good spot for Immortals, right? They are, again, to reiterate, one game ahead, and as we look at the beginning, they are doing better in the second round robin than they are in the first. A lot of that was with Arrow, but their last couple of wins have been coming with Wild Turtle. So it's just a position where if they can start pushing down Dignitas towards the bottom of the standings a little bit further, they have to be very happy with it. They seem to be finding their form towards the very end of Academy Spring, and as they start looking at Proving Grounds, you got to be very happy with suddenly finding your footing, suddenly understanding how the rest of your teammates want to play. And now as Dignitas trying to turn things around, it feels like it might be a little bit too late. Dignitas don't come back very often when they have a deficit.
It's very difficult. Now Spawn going to force Joey to cede control of the jungle here, but this mid turret should be going down soon. There's not many strong initiation tools from the side of Dignitas. Mid turret falls now allows Immortals Academy to have full control of the map, gaining access into both of these jungle quadrants.
And now, I mean, Concept and Eclipse going to be tangling with each other, level 11 from Eclipse, and we saw him win the fight earlier, but I don't think Concept is likely to make the same mistake of not using his ultimate. So should be a bit of nothing going on there, and the laning dominance that oftentimes comes out of Malphite, we haven't really seen this time around.
And that's one of the things that we need to see from Eclipse this game. We've seen him link up with XU, of course, as the benefactor of ganks in the top side of the map, but We haven't seen Eclipse group up with the rest of the team. And that's what you want this Malphite to do, right? You have the best initiation tool in the game. At least relative to this game so far. You want to be grouping up with the rest of your team so you can set up the rest of your carries like Spawn and Darkwings to succeed.
Darkwings is very strong. XU chasing the turtle. Going to be A-okay. So as we see them backing up a little bit more, Mark, it is a position where it feels like the Victor and the Aphilos can be really relevant later in the game, but we're starting to run into, and we talk about this a lot, a range issue, right? Jinx is going to be having the extra range and will be able to push Spawn out of a lot of these team fights unless Spawn goes really aggressive. And Darkwings, you know, he can be really good at dealing some poke with the Death Laser, but he's not necessarily always going to be able to get in range because of all the threat that Pretty's ball is going to be creating. And we'll see a little bit of that probably in the next minute when the dragon actually spawns.
Yeah, 45 seconds to be exact. And Eclipse already setting himself up, prepping this wave on the bottom side of the map so he can join there. Concept forcing Eclipse's hand, though, to match him on the top side of the map. And even though that Dignitas willingly took this matchup for Eclipse into Concept, they know that on the Immortal side, they can always still force Eclipse to answer him on another side of the map away from these objective fights, which is going to make things so difficult for Dignitas, because then when you look at the rest of their engage tools, you're hoping for Immortals to walk into you, into your terrain control, or JJ to find a hook.
And as we take a look at the rest of it, right, we're going to pay a bit more attention to whether or not Eclipse can get this early wave party, or if he's just going to be forced to teleport. Because right now, if he teleports, he loses an entire turret.
That sentence goes wide. Watch out for the orb. Pretty's fishing for a shockwave. Eclipse is trading back and forth with Concept, but Concept still has Undying Rage. Eclipse doesn't necessarily have a second life. They collapsing towards the top side of the map. There's a Rift Herald they can go for, but they will be seeding this third dragon, and that allows Immortals to be at Soul Point. It's a huge gamble to take for Dignitas.
This is not a great trade coming out for Dignitas, picking up the Rift Herald in exchange for a turret and a dragon.
Oh, they can't even take
no,
it.
This is a bit of a disaster coming out for the Dignitas side of the map. The fact that you're giving over so many stats to your opponents, the fact that you are down 3 dragons at this point in the game means that Dignitas, I mean, it feels like Darkwings, the person that we've said has had a bit of a glow up in the second half, is going to need to find even more, but Eclipse with the teleport.
Oh. Okay, it's a
the
huge
portals!
teleport, no!
The portals!
Baited and outsmarted, Immortals Academy pull the wool over the eyes of Dignitas, saying we were never in trouble at all. We have Portal Gaming gamers.
I don't know if I've seen a better usage of the Hextech portals this entire season, Mark. The fact that they all get out of a dire situation with Eclipse using the teleport in order to join means a bit of a disaster. Dignitas now trying to pinch off everything, but they're just too slow to hammer down these nails. They just keep popping up. And the important thing that we're going to need to see from Dignitas, Malphite can't join these fights very well, right? It's very, very difficult for Eclipse to actually win in this side when he can't push Concept back far enough because of the way that Concept has actually itemized. So Dignitas are going to have to look for opportunities to push the waves far enough that Eclipse can actually join, right? We saw they lost an entire turret there.
Oh, no. And Concept looking to cut him off. JJ is here just to make sure he can provide a little bit of a passage to safety.
Safety. A dark passage.
Damn, you didn't catch it?
Yeah. Safety.
I was trying to... Oh, what's the teleport? Okay, it's just answering on the top side of the map. Darkwings is pushing it in a huge
gank the
way.
minions.
But he's going to make sure that he can catch it.
Got him. Yeah. I love ganking minions. They never expect it.
Oh, Eclipse might be forced to use his ulti here. Oh, this is going to be bad. Ultim under the tower, flashing away. Concept is still flashing for it, has the Ghost available as well. Undying Rage should be popped now, and JJ and Spawn, as long as they have the damage to get over the wall, it's a shutdown trade.
I mean, that's a positive gold trade coming out for Dignitas, which is good, but it is bad that your Malphite is now getting solo killed by the Tryndamere. And that's a really problematic position when your primary engage can't really join because nobody else can match. It means that the rest of Dignitas are just kind of waiting for things to happen. And it's okay to wait for things to happen if you are still outscaling your opponents. But it's not obvious to me that Dignitas are doing that, and Dignitas need to be in places first.
Oh. Woohoo. Joey fishing for an engage on a Spawn, at least to burn summoner spells, to make it the next time they engage a lot easier on a marksman without summoner spells. And for Dignitas, at this point, they have to be careful about how they are navigating.
Yeah, and as we start looking to see Immortals taking a bit more control of the top side of the map, we got to go back a little bit to look at some of the players that we have been praising early on in the day, right? Wild Turtle and Joey finding that early 2v3 victory and finding the triple kill has put them miles ahead of where they would normally have been at this point in the game. The fact that they are seeing Concept, even with his missed ultimate earlier in the game, still winning out on the side lane, a counter matchup that Eclipse got the counter pick for, is still finding all of these wins. And Pretty and Chad, they've been very quiet so far this game as Concept now starts to go back towards the bottom lane. Remember, Eclipse can lose an entire turret if he tries to force a team fight.
Dignitas. I respect all the psychopathic attempts made in the early game to really snowball this, but this was the gamble that they took in draft. You knew that you were going to be falling behind if you didn't get a massive advantage early on into the game. This is the price they have to pay for it. But on the flip side, massive props to Immortals Academy for how well they've been playing around some of the early windows where Dignitas had agency in the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, we saw the number of times that XG tried to come mid, only one of them succeeded, and it was the first one. So it means that Pretty still doing just fine, despite the fact that Victor gets access to his super early augments. The fact that he gets access to the Lost Chapter early and kind of dodges a lot of the rest of the bad matchup means that Dignitas, you know, you had a super fed Victor that you had to deal with, but Victor has been navigated. They haven't really had to worry about it, and now we said Dignitas need to be in places first, but they, one, don't feel strong enough to stand up here. Two, they're a little bit early, so the waves are going to be in a bad position. And three, Concept is always a threat on the sides, and just because he's a good split pusher doesn't mean that he's a bad team fighter.
Okay, but they might have found a pick here. Chad, remember, no flash, it's just the ghost. He's got the movement speed, but the pillar is great as terrain destruction. It forces Devour and a hand from Joey, but the death sentence locks in the catfish, and there's nowhere else that he can go. Nice pick for Dignitas.
Okay, so Dignitas win themselves the dragon, but do they actually get that, right? Look at the fact that there's a lot of pressure on the top side of the map. Immortals can threaten to do this Baron. Do Dignitas have the tools to contest both objectives?
I remember last time Dignitas were in this very same spot where they were forced to funnel into a Team Liquid Academy against the Baron when they could have just denied the soul away.
Dead.
And they're not quite here on the same page. Eclipse still has unstoppable force, but the Baron has been taken down by Immortals. Chad might be the only sacrificial lamb that is needed to give up, but Immortals still take the Baron in their stride.
Okay, at the very least, Dignitas are going to be able to pick up the objective bounty, but this is great play from Immortals, immediately recognizing, hey, we can't fight directly, but if we are fast enough to this, oh no, Dark Wings, he's going to get run down.
Undying Rage is super difficult to play against as this Victor. The flash away is not going to save you, but the Dark Passage! JJ Clutch saves his mid laner.
Sweet baby boy, JJ, the mama bear, is here to protect all of his cubs no matter where they are. 5-1-0 Dark Wings. You do not want to be letting him die at this point. There is so much pressure this guy can put on the map. He is so much of your wave clear that he can't afford to go down at this point in the game, especially with a Baron buff in the hands of Immortals. And we'll see how much pressure Immortals can put on. And I mean, we talked about this again, right? Eclipse cannot push Concept. He cannot get enough pressure to feel like he can join fights first. He needs to be in a spot where he has multiple people help.
Okay, well, Concept still has Undying Rage from before. JJ has the Dark Passage, and now Dark Wings is coming back to pay vengeance for Concept, almost solo killing him last time, but a 3-on-1 allows Dignitas to win the trade, but they have to deal with the bottom side of the map. Spawn, Moonlight Vigil gets answered by Joey's Devour, saving Wild Turtle, giving him a fat shield. Abyssal dive onto XU, gets the knockup down. XU is able to make it out alive thanks to Subjugate, stealing all the stats. Zap barely misses, and Chad and Wild Turtle still want to push, but now it's only one frontline and one damage dealer. The rest of Dignitas are here to defend the rest of the base.
That's still a turret going down as Pretty picks up in the mid lane. It's a valiant defense coming through from Dignitas, but only finding Concept on the side is not enough of a win at this point. They still need to look for opportunities to contest the next dragon. They still need to put Dark Wings in the right places for him to actually win a lot of these fights, and that means they need to get to objectives first, right? And when you're looking at a team that is as strong as Immortals, it's so difficult to do that. I kind of want to point out the fact that we were looking at the CS difference between the junglers. It was 50 before last time we took a check. It is now 80 in favor of Chad. He is so close to getting a Flame Horizon in the jungle, right? And that's not something that you see very often, and it's a very brutal position for XG to be in because he's missing so much stats, he's missing so much gold that Chad is just sitting on throughout all these fights.
Dignitas, you know, at this point in the game, it's remarkable that they are keeping themselves in, But this question still remains if Dignitas can be strong enough to hold a position and allow themselves to maintain that choke point while Immortals are forced to check it. They're not going to be needing to do it so for another 2.5 minutes, so Immortals have some time to just push in the waves.
Okay, and as we start looking at this a little bit further, right, we do have to note that if Dignitas win a 5-0, they might be able to win the game. That is such a tall task, and his XU's caught.
XU has no flash, and nice job from Immortals, preventing him from getting to use the Dark Passage. JJ could not save him in time. That's a jungler down. They cannot punish with the objective trade and secure the soul because it's still 2 minutes away, but this now buys time for Immortals, even though they do not have Baron buff anymore, to now put pressure on these inhibitor towers.
Can they get it though, right? There's still a lot of wave clear. As long as Darkwings is alive, he's going to clear this wave almost instantly, and so it's very difficult for Immortals to get a whole lot of damage. But as I say that, they're still getting more than half of it at this point, and Eclipse still can't join, right? There's no way to prevent Concept from hitting this turret if Eclipse is not there, and he's completely armor stacked as well, so Pretty's going to be doing a ton of damage, and that's one of the players that we haven't talked about as much this game, right? Because Wild Turtle has had that great play earlier in the game, because Concept has created so much pressure on the side, because Chad is so far ahead, 100 or 99 CS, one short of getting the Flame Horizon. He'll probably get it fairly soon. But Pretty, this Orianna, almost level 16. Almost has 4 items completed. Is in fact only 1,000 gold behind Darkwings, who has 6 kills at this point in the game. Pretty is ready to come online and start looking for those shockwaves to not only disrupt the enemy team, but potentially kill multiple members.
And look at Concept still maintaining the strong split, pushing pressure on the top side of the map, cross away from the Dragon, where Soul can be netted by Immortals. And Eclipse has to face this. He has Teleport Unleashed, but you know that as Dignitas, once you commit Eclipse to the teleport, you have to make that a winning fight, because otherwise Concept will eat the base alive. And Concept still keeping pressure on Eclipse. Dignitas being pushed away. Eclipse is actually winning the fight so far. I don't know how Concept took all this damage before. And Eclipse, he's going to land the knockup. Does he get the damage down? That's huge! The solo kill for Eclipse, but he does not have Unstoppable Force anymore. Eclipse still can potentially join the fight and just be a meat shield for the rest of Dignitas, but he will not have this engaged.
Oh, XU coming around. He has an opportunity to get back into the pit. The teleport comes through. We actually have a fight coming through from Dignitas.
Immortals, they're going to dip down towards the bottom side of the map. 1,700, 1,400. XU secures the Dragon. Dignitas hold on to the game.
They hold on, but man, we get to see how much of a struggle it is for Concept to try and deal with Eclipse right now. And I'm a little bit shocked, right? I feel like Concept could have left throughout a whole lot of that, but Eclipse, good punish, actually finalizing the kill. And now Dignitas are the ones on the map. They have the tempo, and with Baron spotting very soon, Concept will be a little bit late to actually deal with it. And Eclipse, his ultimate is coming up soon. They could start looking for a fight.
Look at this, Dignitas already just making sure that they stay on the map. Concept, now that he's respawned, will not have enough time to set up the split push to pressure Dignitas away from the Baron.
And we'll see, do Immortals want to actually try and contest this? They are already starting to move over, but the Baron is going down so quickly.
JJ trying to buy time. Chad cannot get in as easily, but it's 5k down. It hasn't been burned down enough. They have to turn around. Chad getting knocked up here. Still waiting on the Unstoppable Force from Eclipse. This is your moment. You have to turn things around. He lands the 2-man knockup, but Joey with a beautiful Devour will save
Shockwave missed!
Turtle's unanswered here, but Darkwing's trying to go forward, flashing with the Chaos Storm. Pretty doesn't go down quite yet. Super Mega Death Rocket. Wild Turtle gets a huge burst. Moonlight Vigil. Wild Turtle dodges everything. He still stays alive. He is playing on the edge of life and death, and still somehow wins it for Immortals.
I'm on the edge of glory. Holy crap, Mark. The fact that this fight was close at all coming through from both sides is a testament to how much resilience is coming out from the side of Dignitas, right? The shockwave that I was saying, level 16 Orianna has 3 items completed, did nothing. It was all Wild Turtle that fight. He was able to create so much space. He was able to play in the pocket, and he doesn't go down. And he was able to do the damage that he needs to. So watch the fact that the rest of the team trying to create a lot of space, allowing Wild Turtle to hit. And Eclipse, he tries to go in, but instantly eaten up by Joey. He's able to play in the pocket. There's no threat to this AD carry, and now it's Immortals who pick up the Baron.
Huge from this squad. And now, I didn't want to point to it before because Dignitas that was potentially the best fight they could have taken. They had all their pieces set up. They prevented Concept from being able to set up time to put pressure on the crosshead of the map. And Immortals still came around from that fight just because of the overall goal difference. They are staring down almost a 10,000 gold deficit here.
Yeah, Chad now going head-to-head against Eclipse. Doesn't look like Concept is super easily able to take that. Really needs the Lord Doms to actually take those fights. But Trick 2G, open D gates, we'll see. I mean, Wild Turtle, we see how much damage Spawn does. He's not super fed, but he is still a 3-item Aphelios. He can take down Wild Turtle really aggressively, and it opens up new playmaking opportunities for the AD carry of Dignitas. One of these players that you felt has been underserved throughout this season. We'll see if he can step up to the plate now and try and win it. XU, just so sad. Flame Horizon finally by Chad.
Yeah, XU, I mean, maybe he could pop the Subjugate and stop Chad, but Chad, that would be a trade he's willing to take. Subjugate, he's super tanky now, almost paper mache. XU getting a lot of burst damage down, but Chad is just able to speed on away. And meanwhile, Concept, unmarked, gets the inhibitor tower in the mid lane. That is the first chink in the armor of this stronghold for Dignitas.
Okay, now Dignitas, they're going to look for an opportunity to try and find a fight, but Eclipse, he can't be just trying to clear all these waves all on his own. They need to actually do something, because otherwise they're going to lose multiple inhibitors here.
Another inhibitor tower falls. Chad comes back knowing that XU no longer has Subjugate. Chad could potentially win the 1v1 and force XU away from the defense, but he's super low, and Concept sees blood in the water. He's ready to lock him down. Pillar is great, might be able to buy XU, but just as I say that, the spinning slash, the cooldown is great. Concept still has Undying range, so he's not in any real danger here. Meanwhile, the rest of Dignitas, they're trying to run down Concept.
Turtle's hitting the Nexus.
Wild Turtle's just free, hitting the Nexus towers. He is opening up the gates on the other side. The rest of Dignitas have to respond. It's all for naught. Eclipse with the Unstoppable Force gets denied by Joey's Devour once again. Time after time, Joey stepping up to the plate and defending his AD carry so that he can be fully unleashed. The Wild Turtle that we all know that he can be. Immortals will take game 1.
A valiant defense coming through from Dignitas, but unfortunately for them, it is Immortals pushing ahead to 2 games ahead of Dignitas after the end of our first game, and it is a crazy game. I was not expecting all the blood throughout the beginning of this game. I was expecting Dignitas to go back to the controlled style that we've been seeing them have so much success on in the second half of the round robin, but instead, trying to push the tempo and their gamble doesn't pay off this time. XU just falls too far behind up against a very calm and collected Chad.
Yeah. Once again, props again to Immortals for being able to withstand and hold and show resilience throughout all the early pressure that XU looked for at the beginning of the game. And that's the risk you have to take when you're going for that. You have to kind of act like a psychopathic jungler, and you have to say, you know what, there's no way I'm going to be able to match farm. And I know you say that later on you have to keep up in farm, but you have to look for every single opportunity that is plausible and make it a winning advantage for your team. Otherwise, as you see before you, Immortals will easily snowball ahead.
Yeah, and I want to give a little bit of praise to Concept, not necessarily because his mechanical play was the greatest thing here, right, on the Tryndamere. He did okay, right, at best, in terms of actually piloting the Tryndamere part of it. But his ability to control the map this game and constantly create pressure meant that Eclipse couldn't really do anything, right? Concept was always pushed up every single time an objective was about to spawn. We saw that Concept had the waves on the other side of the map. He was constantly threatening to take a turret, and we called it out multiple times. If Eclipse leaves this turret right now in order to help the team go for the team fight, this turret's dead, right? And if you ask that question of Dignitas often enough, they're going to get it wrong a couple of times, and so we just see Immortals slowly build up this lead because Concept on this champion that we haven't really seen him play a whole lot created a ton of pressure.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Dignitas go back to something that has been working for them in the second round robin and more, a slower, controlled play style, something like the Hecarim or the Udyr if XU wants to go for it, as he's put up massive games on those particular junglers. Before we throw it to break, I want to give a shout out to one honorable unofficial 6-man member, and that is the Hextech Portals for Immortals Academy. They made the great escape after that. But of course, we're going to be getting ready for our halftime show with Kangas on deck, so make sure you stick around. We'll be right back.
よ。大勢って何？見ているよ。だ、アニメを見ることと、アニメを見ることと同じだろうよ。ラジオ、ヘンリー選手の件は、お前はもう死んでいる。すげえ。ダイヤモンド選手は罠を仕掛ける。それから勝った。計画通り。そうだすれば、レッパ選手のあれはねえねえ、ダイヤモンド選手もアトミックサムライをパンマンでアトミックザッかっこいい。
There it is! Moonfall and the last breath finds spawn! Golden Guardians and the flash from Ryoma!
納得させた。俺は。よし、行くぞ。